it's Yolz and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. Oh my goodness, why? Because this video is in partnership with Bill and Melinda Gates. In case you didn't hear me properly, I said Bill Gates, Melinda Gates. Yes. Yeah, what? Your girl is partnering with them today on the 2020 annual letter. If you don't know, Bill and Melinda Gates write a letter every single year talking and also probing conversation around global issues and challenges that they'd like to tackle. So today I want to focus on gender equality. Growing up, to be honest with you, as a young girl in South Africa, I don't know if you felt the same way, but it feels different. We are raised differently to our brothers, to our uncles, to our fathers. And I do want to tackle this video in particular with a lot of other women who are business leaders in their own rights. They are moms, they are wives, and they are making major strides in changing the dynamics of gender roles. So I've got a few guests, but before we get into them, I do want to talk about the big thing for me. I think the biggest milestone that we made as South Africa, which may seem like a vain one, but I think it's a major thing. We won Miss Universe. Zozibini Tunzi did not win alone, and I think the reason why I was so excited is because in her words, education is such a big, major thing that she wanted to focus on, specifically when she won Miss South Africa. And then even bigger than that, she chatted about leadership. Her answer to Steve Harvey when he asked, what is the one thing you think young girls should learn or should be taught? She specifically spoke about teaching young girls about leadership. The answer for me touched me the most because yes, I am educated, and of course you know my story. I did not grow up being the richest kid, and in high school I was pretty shy, but getting into university I started recognizing who I was. There was no boy or girl in my mind in my class. Where we could compete intellectually was where I won. That is where I had a foot in the door, and that is how I got to place myself in major competitions. That's being radio, that's also academically, in all spheres. In fact, when I remember, I was on TV, I was on radio, I was on quizzes, I was on the academic top 10, and I did things that literally redefined my gender role. I was competing with guys, and I also challenged them to look beyond that when it came to intellect. So before I even jump into it, let's listen to what Zozibini had to say regarding leadership, because that is what I want us to focus on, even when I'm chatting to the ladies that I'll be chatting to in this video. When asked what we should be teaching young girls today, Zozi said, leadership. It's something that has been lacking in young girls and women for a very long time, not because we don't want to, but because of what society has labeled women to be. I think we are the most powerful beings in the world, and that we should be given every opportunity. That is what we should be teaching these young girls, to take up space. Nothing as important as taking up space in society and cementing yourself. So I went ahead and chatted to Mpumi Letwaba, who is huge on reading. She believes every single woman will be enriched from simply picking up a book and reading it. So I went ahead and visited her and chatted more around education and what she believes young girls could do to equip themselves through just simply picking up a book and reading it, and of course instilling education from a young age. So let's go and chat to Mpumi and see what she had to say. Mpumi, what do these words mean to you? Educate a girl child and you educate a nation.
If the girl child is educated, that means a whole community is educated. That means whatever I have learned, whatever I have gained, whatever knowledge and wisdom that I have attained, I pass it on to my children. Whereas with men, for the longest time, maybe now the narrative and things are starting to change, but for the longest time their knowledge is for themselves. Like a man goes and learns how to drive or gets a degree, he goes to work, he brings home the bacon. A woman goes and gets educated, comes back, sis, let me teach you how to drive, or you should also go there, or sis, I just learned this at work, let me teach you this so that you can find a job too. So I think as women we just have that nurturing thing, that caring thing, that I want to share my wisdom, I want to share my knowledge.
Wow, so what can we do to start creating and driving that very change?
I think it starts in the home. Firstly, it starts in my home. Having a young girl, from the moment she was about a month old, I started reading books to her, started affirming her. Instead of just buying her Barbie dolls and toys, buying her books, reading to her. She's at a point now where the other day I went into a room and I found her sitting on a chair, literally reading a book. in her language, obviously.
Yeah.
But it starts like that, and making it fashionable, making it interesting. Because before we thought studying as this boring thing. If you have to go to the library, if you read a book, you're a nerd. So I think using my channel as a platform to not only sell things that are materialistic and for now, and to try and give a look of a life that's lavish, but actually things that really matter, that hey, actually let's get educated, let's read books. It doesn't have to be a book about science, but read a book, let's increase our vocabulary, let's watch things that actually matter.
I love that. Anything to the young aspiring businesswoman and the woman who's sitting behind this very screen.
I always say, take the 5 people who inspire you and choose 3 things from each of them and implement those things in your life. I mean, if all the rich people or all the successful people in the world think being healthy or eating clean is important, what makes you think you should be different? You know, so it's things like that that you should look at, that what is the common denominator? How do I slot myself in so that I can be like those people?
So last year, as you know, was my very first year of going solo. I think by far that was the biggest risk I've ever had to take. Not only as somebody who's educated, gone to university, and just gone straight to something totally different, being a creative, but also because I'm a woman. Initially, when I said to my bosses, I'm leaving my job for YouTube, they laughed, okay? But one of the biggest milestones for me was reaching at the end of the year with ending up with more money in my pocket than I had when I was working in corporate, and affording myself the freedom of time, okay? The one thing that you learn as a mom especially is that the greatest gift you can give to your child is time, and I was able to achieve that through just simply taking the biggest risk of my life, which was leaving corporate, leaving my 9 to 5, leaving, pushing somebody's vision for what I wanted to achieve and for my own dreams. April marks 2 years of me having left my job, and I can tell you right now that swinging for the fences was one of the best things that I had to do. I took the biggest leap of faith. Initially, some of you were also laughing at me. Some of you were like, how are you going to survive? Wait, what? But I look at my business now, yolzchannel, and I see it growing, supporting women businesses, supporting other women. I'm also mentoring young women through various ways. Some are virtual and some are face-to-face. So I've been able to achieve these things by simply having left my job. So I'm so proud of that. Something else that I've also been doing is keeping in touch with those who were able to lift me up when I initially left my job. Someone that I look up to and absolutely love is the owner of Afro Botanics, Sis Ndomenhle. She has grown her business from zero, and it started off by her simply walking into a Clicks, looking at the shelves and asking herself, why are women products produced by men? That is how she changed her narrative. That is how she now owns one of the biggest hair care companies in South Africa. Of course, I had to chat to her and ask her around how we can create this drive around raising other women leaders, and also have conversations with men, how we can drive progress in making women leaders. So I'm gonna stop talking and let's just head straight over to her house and chat to her more around what I was curious about. I teased her mind, I provoked her thought, and of course she's a thought leader in her own right, so she had a lot to say. Let's listen up to what she had to say. Sister Mentle, what do you think we can do as individuals and ordinary people, practical steps that we can take to affect change, especially when it concerns gender equality challenges that we face every day?
Every day I speak to my 4-year-old and I give her affirmations so she knows that being a female means that she is a full, supreme, sovereign human being, and she should not tolerate being taken by anyone or treated by anyone or spoken to by anyone. Because I've seen it, 5-year-olds on the playground. You can already see the patriarchy that's being passed down by their parents to them. So we need to start affirming our young daughters and our young boys on how to treat another person and to value another person. So every day you can do that. If you don't have kids, then do it for your nephews and to your nieces.
What initiatives do you think will help to fast track the progress of getting more women leaders in critical sectors like health, government, and even sectors like technology where we don't find a lot of women?
I like civic driven organizations and fellowships and leadership programs. Those tend to have more buy-in, more credible, and more lasting impact. And sadly in South Africa, our civic organization and participation is quite weak now. since the end of apartheid. So we need to revive that. We need to have a civic-led change and a civic-led society.
What unique role do you think then men should play in creating an environment for gender equality in all industries?
I mean, do you realize how often men go quiet when we're speaking gender equality, equality of remuneration? We need more men speaking up against it. We need more men when they're having their brides, they get together, they're sporting, sporting gigs, to actually call each other out. And a lot of men, when you have conversations with them around things like, how would you feel if your daughter was treated this way, they're quick to see that things are not fair, that things are not equal. So we need to have them see it from at least the eyes of the future, but also recognize difference. Men and women are different. Women are mothers as much as men are fathers. Women tend to be more involved in the upbringing of kids. So there are ways that men can speak up and support women without it taking anything away from them, and understanding that it's not about replacing them, it's just about recognizing, actually will add value. It will grow economies, it will add less pressure on them.
I had such an awesome time chatting to Sister Mbentle, and I always learned something new from her, and I really hope that you also got to learn so much from just having a conversation. I don't think there's any better way of challenging and questioning where the gender equity spectrum is than doing just that. So let's go over to Kopano, and I did this interview Vogue style, so I really enjoyed it. I hope you do enjoy it too. Let's go straight to a hizzy.
Hello.
Hey, y'all.
How's
Hi.
it? Good, how are you?
Good. Come in.
Tina, I've briefed you a little bit. Can I go ahead and ask my questions?
Yeah, sure. Come in.
Having been Miss SA Teen before, what stood out the most for you in Zozi's answer about teaching young girls leadership today?
The taking up space part. I feel as though if there are no women there, that's where we should be targeting on purpose. We should be looking for spaces where there's a lack of females, and it's not because there aren't any females who can't be leaders. It's because that we need to be given that space, given the opportunity to take up that space, and also be seen and recognized as leaders. We're there, the recognition needs to happen.
Why did you make the big leap from working for a corporate company and starting your own consulting company?
I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew that I wanted to work on my own ideas, and I knew that I wanted to lead, actually. So when I was working 9 to 5, I could see, I knew my bosses, the people who created the business personally, and knowing them and seeing their dream come to life just helped me realize that, you know what, I have a dream and I'm just helping someone else's dream come to pass while I am letting mine die. So I had to take that leap. There was no other way. I actually got quite depressed because of it. I had work depression, which was quite bad.
In terms of females, I'm interested in knowing how many females were in your company, do you remember, versus males?
It's very interesting. Advertising is one of those industries where the top is all men, and literally the entire bottom is females. And that is very, very common in almost every agency that I know. I've been to a few advertising awards, and all the top guys, the creative directors, all the strategists, all the owners are all there, and it's just a sea of dudes, literally.
Okay.
You want to see my office?
Yes.
So welcome to the Club She Is Home. This is our learning platform. So Club She Is gives women the support, the tools, and the strategies that they need to build the businesses and brands that they want to build. So essentially, we want women to be able to earn their own income and live life on their own terms. We have over 600 women on our platform currently. And the impact that it has made is that, firstly, the support has given women the confidence to go for what they want, and they're not alone. They know that there are other women there who are trying to build their businesses and their brands and change their lives just the same as they are. It is the knowledge so that they know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and to really understand their environments and the strategies to actually make them implementable. So the biggest change that I've seen is that women are taking up space. They are getting into industries where they thought they couldn't get into because they have the knowledge and the support to do so. They are actually becoming thought leaders in those industries. That's one thing that we are quite big on, building their personal brands and their influences in their industries, And at the end of it, after they've gone through a course, they realize that, you know what, I'm not crazy, I'm actually awesome, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm good at what I do. And I think that is the most powerful thing that we can give to women, the confidence to take up that space. And when they do take it up, they do a good job at it.
Every woman deserves to be empowered. You know, whenever I look at Kopana's business, or even Sistombe or even Boomies, the one theme that sticks out the most is their focus on women and empowering them. And I don't believe that empowerment comes without education. Something that's very strong and a clear thread in the past 2 annual letters that Bill and Melinda Gates have written is education. And I think there's nothing more paramount than educating the African child. That is how we're going to bring her to be the leader that Zozibini is talking about, to be the leader that we saw in Zozibini herself when she was even picked by the judges to be Miss Universe. There's nothing better than instilling in the girl child, whether it's through affirmations, whether it's through conversations that we have around the house, whether it's even just making her feel safe in the space that she's in. That's at school, that's at home, to feel safe, to vocalize her thoughts. An educated girl is a healthy girl. A healthy girl is a wealthy girl. That is what I believe. I actually don't think I want to now raise my son differently to my future daughter. I've learned now more than ever to actually raise them the same, because our boys are taught to be confident, they're taught to be assertive, they're taught to speak up, they are taught to literally lean in, which is why in boardrooms, in corporate spaces, they lean in, which is why they lift up their hands, and they're so also easy to boast about small things that don't really matter, or so we think they don't matter, but it's big enough to get them a raise. It is these conversations that help impact change. It may seem small, but they do make the biggest differences. And of course, being an African myself, what I would love to see is an educated African girl child who can lead industries. I believe that we are powerful beings, as Zozi also said, but it's not a competition. We're not trying to say to men we want to be the same. No, we're saying even in our differences, we are valid, we do matter, and our voices should be heard. That is all I have to say. We are all feminists, whether we like it or not. I love you guys so much, and I do certainly hope that you enjoyed this video. To Bill and Melinda Gates, thank you so much for choosing me. I really enjoyed this video, and I will not stop advocating for gender equality, especially when it concerns teaching the young girl and raising the young girl to become a strong woman leader who stands up against gender-based violence, who stands up against sexual harassment, who stands up against unequal pay. I've been there, and I want to advocate for change. Thank you. Bye.